defense of him on both of those comments was, oh, well, he was walking around the Detroit Auto Show, so it doesn't count. Which, again, doesn't inspire confidence when we're talking about war with a nuclear power.
That's right. Their leader's so easily distracted. Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering this week and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Westwood, and I'm here today with senior columnist Tim Carney. And Tim, this past week, President Biden made waves yet again for comments about Taiwan and what the U.S. would feel obligated to do if China were to invade. The White House, cleaned that up a bit. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, so Taiwan, it's funny, they are clearly an ally and we've been arming them for decades, yet the official U.S. foreign policy is that Taiwan is not an independent nation. We recognize a unified China. So that's self-contradictory. But Biden came out and just very firmly said, no, we will defend Taiwan if they get attacked, which to some people sounds like he's talking about war with a nuclear power, China.
What should Chinese President Xi know about your commitment to Taiwan?
We agree with what we signed on to a long time ago, and that there's a one China policy, that Taiwan makes their own judgments about their independence. We are not moving, we're not encouraging their being independent. That's their decision.
But would U.S. forces defend the island?
Yes, if in fact there was an unprecedented attack.
And so the White House said, look, that's not a change of policy. If we change our policy, we will let you know. He was just talking sort of, off his cuff. And so it's another example of Biden saying something and the White House walking it back, but it's one that touches on nuclear war.
Right, the pandemic is over. Also came from that same interview,
yes.
A big cleanup mode. And that's at least the third time that he's said the Taiwan
and
piece.
The defense of him on both of those comments was, oh, well, he was walking around the Detroit Auto Show, so it doesn't count. Which, again, doesn't inspire confidence when we're talking about war with a nuclear power.
That's right. Their leader's so easily distracted. Russia is also making renewed threats, doubling down, obviously, on the Ukraine invasion. How is Biden handling that?
Well, and this also touches on nuclear war. Russia has a massive nuclear arsenal, and Vladimir Putin sort of very clearly implied he's willing to use these nuclear weapons as part of his efforts against Ukraine, because the Russia's had a couple really bad weeks. They're trying to send in reinforcements, but he said, other people are talking about nuclear war. The winds blow in both directions. People who study Putin say, wow, this is an empty threat. Other people say, well, he's a madman who's desperate. We don't know what to do. So that puts the U.S. in the position of saying, how would we react if there were a tactical nuclear strike on some target within Ukraine? It's been a hard and fast rule. You don't use nuclear weapons. If Putin breaks that, how do we respond? Are we going to trigger World War III? So again, Biden's going to be asked this question, and who knows what answer he'll give this time.
In a lot of areas of foreign policy in the past, it was the U.S. position to be vague on purpose. Strategic ambiguity dictated how leaders talked about Taiwan and other things. Biden's clearly sort of discarding that. Trump did to some extent. What's the shift there?
I see it as a new form of strategic ambiguity. None of the answers are ambiguous. It's just that it's very firm in one direction one way and very firm in the other direction the other day. This is what Trump did on Syria, and it might have worked. We did like a little missile strike. Are we going to do regime change? Well, he's got to go. Are you going to take him out? Of course we are. Of course we're not. That sort of back and forth on Syria. And so now this is sort of the Biden version of that, where Biden very hawkish, very firmly defending our allies, and then the White House says, no, we're not going to do that. So it's a different sort of strategic ambiguity.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for being here today. You can get more writing from Tim and the rest of the commentary team at washingtonexaminer.com.